Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise Awakenings, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken in life. Rise Awakening, now is the time.
Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.
Start with the quiet parts, the things you hide behind your laugh. Sit with the ache a while. Let every question breathe and ask, who was I trying to be? Who am I when I just stay? Name every tender scar and let them have their say. Till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Pages of old beliefs, stories that kept you playing small. Lay them out on the floor, see which ones never fit at all. Offer your younger self a kindness you never knew. From the soil of
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Bloom. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so if you're new here, this content is shared based on my personal experience and knowledge that I've gained along my own educational and healing journeys. The information is always shared in the greatest degree of love and is intended to resonate with whoever it's supposed to. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's just meant to help you on your healing journey. And I'm going to open up the chat after we have our very special guest today. Michael J is with us in the house today. I'm so excited. The topic is conflict resolution. So as you know, Michael shares a great deal of knowledge on his own personal journey. So he's the perfect fit for this particular topic. And thank you, Micah, for always doing the man behind the curtain things and remembering that this is a safe space for all of us to dive deeper into our own personal growth and evolution. Find me on healingrose.org and let us dive into this conflict resolution topic here as a sacred pathway to the greatest degree of love. We love to talk about love on this show. So conflict itself is not the problem. I think we're going to start here. Disconnection from awareness is, right? Modern research shows that emotional regulation and relational neuroscience shows that conflict arises. And when it does, it's not just mental, it's physiological. It's our nervous system that gets activated first, right? That's what we're always fighting through is fight or flight, especially in conflict. That's where it's most in our face. Not even any other kind of trigger because there's someone else involved. So that adds a whole different level of that fight or flight mode because in that very moment, you are the most vulnerable. So, and yet, that being said, when we bring awareness, compassion, and presence into those high conflict moments, we transform that conflict into potentially a messenger, an invitation to see aspects of ourselves. And it's definitely an invitation to see conflict as not something that's separate from the healing path, but a doorway into it. It's not separate from the healing path at all. Okay. So in moments of tension, when we feel we have to defend and protect ourselves and we're preparing ourselves to be right, to be safe, to avoid the pain, we can remind ourselves in that moment that we have an opportunity to do something of a higher vibration and deeper and a loving calibration towards ourselves. So we can take ourselves from reaction to regulated response, from protection to presence, from control to conscious connection. So it's not about silencing our truth to keep us safe, and it's certainly not about bypassing our emotions. It's about learning to hold our truth in one hand and love in the other, okay? And learning how to implement conflict resolution in the greatest degree of love. And that's where love is in action. So conflict is here to teach us, really. And it carries that sacred intelligence because it tells us where our nervous system is, if our heart feels seen or unseen, if there's old conditioning that's asking to be healed, if our needs are still in longing, or are we being honored, where love might be ready to expand in a different way. Okay. And in these moments, we ask ourselves not to judge, but with devotion, what is this moment inviting me to become aware of within myself? Because awareness is the alchemy. Awareness is what transforms reactions into healing. So let's talk about how we can embody it in different circumstances and situations, because as you know, we have conflict in every aspect of our lives. And everybody is going to want to talk about the relationship, the intimate partner relationships aspects, of course, a lot. So yes. A reactive expression might sound like, you never listened to me. you don't care, or some other kind of putting yourself into a defense and survival protection mode. And a regulated response might sound like, I'm noticing I feel unheard right now, and it's bringing up frustration. Can we slow down so I can feel connected with you? Like, we can change what we say in moments and how we respond to them right out the gate, like that. What does that do? That shifts your nervous system into a level of self-validation and acknowledgement. You own your emotions instead of projecting them, and you're inviting in connection, not demanding that they hear you and see you. Okay? It's bringing in an opportunity for emotional safety in those moments. Now, granted, that's not going to be possible with everyone. Their response will tell you. They might have a little bit defensiveness in the beginning and confusion because that's something different that they're not used to maybe from you. And so give it a minute to see where they land and how it evolves from there. Their response will tell you everything you need to know about whether or not they should be in your inner circle and in your intimate in an intimate relationship with you. So it's opening the door also for your discernment, because if you're not met with more compassion and a pause with a different response, it might get ugly. So let's talk about the workspace, right? How many of us have jobs that we hate and bosses that are jerks and coworkers that are crazy? And we might react and say, well, that's not my fault. You didn't explain it that way to me. Or I didn't have anything to do with that project, or whatever comes up for you. So when we shift into a consciously aware response, it might sound something like, I'm feeling some confusion around the expectations. Can we clarify so we can align fully? Doesn't that change the entire energy? It sounds very professional. It shows leadership skills, and it creates an environment where accountability and safety can thrive at work. So I'm just going to keep running through all the different areas of life that it might be. Family dynamics. Let's go straight to family dynamics, okay? And that's where our deepest conditioning and patterns are. So that's the most challenging. And we're going to say some crazy stuff when we're dealing with family, like, you always do this and you never respected me and blah, 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 right? That's reactive, right? What might be healthier, which might be getting you stares that make you look like an alien, right? I care about our connection, and I also need to honor my boundaries. Can we find a way to support both? Doesn't that sound cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs when dealing with family? However, what it does is it helps them understand that whatever's happening right now doesn't resonate with you, and you're allowed to have boundaries with family. So it opens the door for an invitation for them to also feel like, okay, well, all right, maybe we can make a happy medium for everybody. Okay. What about in friendships? A lot of us get very offended with our friends, like, oh, I guess I'm not that important to you, or how could you do that to me, or whatever, right? Instead, we can say things like, when plans changed, I felt hurt, and I really value our time together, so can we talk about it? Open the door to vulnerability, because vulnerability becomes the bridge where defensiveness once stood. Okay? In friendships and in family and in intimate relationships, our vulnerability matters in order for that door to be open. And what about in everyday encounters? Okay? Like even brief interactions, grocery store line, whatever. If you react to someone who is giving you disrespect or showing you something that's not okay, and you react like that Robert De Niro in Taxi, you talking to me? What's your problem? You know, like, we can do that. Or we could say something that's consciously aware, like, that interaction felt tense. Would you be open to resetting together? Or that interaction didn't really resonate with me. What is it that your intention was with that statement, and how can I add clarity? Something. something to that effect, just to open the door and allow dignity to be restored, right? Because when we get offended with total strangers, dignity flies out the window for some reason. So with all of these different scenarios, at the bottom line, and at the end of the day, we have to do the process when we get triggered, right? We talk about how to process our triggers all the time. Are we pausing for a moment and giving ourselves a moment to tap into the wisdom that we have within? Are we pausing and breathing and allowing it to just breathe for a second so we can decide how we're going to respond from a place of love instead of reacting from our trauma and from fear? Okay. Love becomes a choice in that pause. Love becomes a choice in that pause. First and foremost, to love ourselves. Let's release the illusion of winning. Okay. In consciousness of our awareness with the conflict in that moment, we need to remind ourselves it's not about winning. It's not about being right. It's not about proving ourselves. And it's not about controlling the outcome. It's really about understanding ourselves and the other person, honoring each of our truths, expanding our awareness, and deepening the connection with the individual that we're involved with, if that's appropriate to do. And aligning ourselves with love. That's true in all circumstances, to always align yourself with love and compassion. Okay. Sometimes love doesn't mean agreement. It means presence without abandoning yourself. Okay. And that's what the conflict resolution is really honing in on. Let's not abandon ourselves. Let's just meet this with love and compassion. So within this path, we hold these truths. Accountability is not punishment. It's self-honoring growth. Compassion is not weakness. It's regulated strength. And awareness is not passive. It's transformative power. Conflict becomes a sacred ground where healing, truth, and love can meet it. And as we practice conflict resolution, we don't just change our conversations, we elevate the energetic field in our relationships, in our communities, in the collective consciousness and self. So, gently with compassion, I invite you inward to answer some questions that I'm going to be asking Michael right now. Let's invite Michael on and talk about some of the questions we can ask ourselves and reflect on and share. Hi,
Thank you for having me. Well, first of all, I just want to start off with thank you for the glowing review, and maybe an example in what not to do. Like I got all kinds of examples of those.
So I think I have a few questions here, and I'm not gonna ask them in the order in which I told you about. The question that I'm seeing that's very important, I think, for all of us to ask ourselves is, what emotions feel hardest for us to stay present with? So what have you experienced in the past? What emotions have you been found to be a challenge for you?
And probably the easier question, which emotions haven't been a challenge for me, because they're all, when you're bipolar, especially like type 1, you don't. That's the thing. There's no middle ground. Like when you feel it's way up here or way down here, there's nothing. So whether it's anger, whether it's a lot of the times it was guilt. Like I would just feel bad, like eventually feel bad. So any type of situation was really hard for me. And one situation, like when I did finally start to realize I needed to walk away, the problem with that with my son's mother was a lot of the time she was one of those people who, when I tried to walk away, she would follow me to the point I had to finally take my car, take her keys, and turn off my phone for her to leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just kind of, and it's a question I told my son the other day that I have to ask myself when I come up to a situation and I have that emotional reaction. I have to stop myself in the moment and say, wait a minute, is this emotional reaction equivalent to the situation at hand? 95% of the time, it's not. It's an overreaction. And being aware of that is really where the struggle was. But now that I can do it, it's become, a lot easier and a lot quicker to do.
So that leads me to the next question.
You're welcome. I didn't do that on purpose. Can't make this stuff.
That's a great segue, and thank you for sharing that, because we all struggle, and on a lot of us struggle with that volatility. And
Right.
I'm going to say that word again, volatility. Where did we grow up with that volatility? So although we can have labels attached to explaining why there's that volatility, we have to remember that those labels are not us.
Right.
Volatility is what they represent. So
Right.
we do have in these moments of conflict, we have the opportunity to decide, well, no, wait a minute, none of this volatility crap. What is in alignment with the greatest degree of love? So where do I move into a response that's aware instead of this heavy reaction? At what point do I? And so I would love to hear everyone's, and yours, Michael, share on when you have those moments of, wait a minute.
Usually, it's gotten better where it's usually right before, because before it was right after I had said some just really off the wall. And there are a couple of people who have seen me when I'm at that, because I do have to let it out still. So I find somebody I trust, and you should see some of the things I say, because I do say some off the wall, like stuff that I used to say to people that usually lost me friendships, relationships. But when I get to that point now, when that immediate thought comes to my head, immediately it's like a trigger warning I've set up in my brain to go, wait a minute, hold on, we need to stop. And when I'm already like becoming to that point where I'm starting to attack people, and I realize it's because it's what I grew up. You talk about volatility. I grew up in volatility.
Exactly.
Like it was all I ever knew. Like I never knew anything different. I mean, especially in a family, where me and like one other person in our family was actually diagnosed, but I know the rest of them have it, and nobody really wants to, and that really, can be summed up to a lot of the conflicts I see, not just in families, but in workplaces. It's not being willing to admit that you are ignorant about something. Being ignorant is not necessarily, everybody looks at this as a bad thing, but guess what? You don't know until you know, and you can't find out. If you can't be willing to admit that you're, like how many times have you been at work and like, oh my God, if I say that I don't know this, they're going to fire me. And then just acted like you knew something when really you should have just admitted, asked to get shown how to do it. And then you would have saved yourself. Really, you're going to get fired for not admitting that and then doing it wrong because you think you know.
Yes. So I heard you say it's in the pause. You have a moment to reflect and consider yourself in the greatest degree of love, and bring yourself back to center from that volatility. The labels, again, they're not an identity. The labels are meant to help you understand your trauma and give you context for what your nervous system is doing to you.
And I have to be willing to admit the ignorance too of like, I am ignorant about why this is going on. I need to take a step back and figure out where it's coming from.
And the accountability. And that leads me right into the next question. Thank you very much.
I'm here. I told you I'm better on my feet.
Because that accountability it is what it looks like when you respond from that greatest degree of love, from that heart-centered space to understand yourself and others around you. So in that sacred accountability, what happens with you? What have you noticed within yourself the more you allowed yourself to hold yourself accountable?
The more I allowed to hold myself accountable, actually, funny enough, it actually being willing to see my own vulnerability actually was a major part of being able to take that power that people had over me back for myself. Because if I see it before you do, you can't then bring it to my attention and make me feel guilty about doing something that I didn't say, no, honey, because I know who I am. I know myself, my goods and my bads. So really, that's for, you don't have to tell me. Like you can't just try to tell me and then act like you did something for me because you didn't tell me something I didn't already know. And that was the biggest thing for me. Like when people would use guilt and anger and stuff to now, like, I'm sorry about your luck. That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
But And that was the biggest thing for me. Like that was the biggest aha moment, was being able to not let people control me. I am the master of myself and my emotions. I give no one power over me through them today. By
Yeah.
being able to see it first, I could take that power back. And
Yes.
owning it, you know,
Yes.
it was so hard to do, but when I finally did, it was just this weight lifted off and this freeness that I never even knew I could have.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I mean,
Yes.
it was,
Yes. I'm going to ask you another question that I didn't prep
Mhm.
you with, because this is leading
Nope.
me to another question.
Mhm.
Because we're talking about accountability, and accountability is definitely necessary for growth.
Absolutely.
So I'm hearing you say, I moved beyond my ego.
Mhm.
And in that, there's another piece to this, because there's plenty of circumstances that are conflict, that it's not on us, it's another person that's creating drama and bringing in judgment and shame and guilt,
Mhm.
and projecting their pain onto us.
Mhm.
So in those moments, we still can have an opportunity to go beyond our ego.
Mhm.
And so in those moments that you've experienced where it wasn't a you issue, how did you
Mhm.
handle and how did you communicate to that individual that you're going to remain solid
Mhm.
in your own integrity?
Well, and therein kind of lies and I'm not trying to disagree with you, but you'll see what I mean. Therein kind of lies the fault in thinking. That is where ego actually can help you, because there is nothing in my world or my universe that isn't a part of me. Like, I'm master of myself and my emotions, but that means everything that happens around me that affects my universe is mine, nobody else's. So that is where my ego did actually become, strength. Sorry,
Yeah.
English are hard today, but
Words are
but
always
owning that. But by owning that, I didn't. But at that point, like, no, this is mine. I can own my life, but I can't control yours. So at that point, they can't. They can try to all they want to, but it's only has the weight and the power that I give it, and I don't give it any power. Like they keep saying, well, you're just gonna let it. I'm not letting. You're a grown ass adult. Excuse my language, but you're a grown ass adult. I'm not holding a gun to your head. I can't make you do anything you don't want to do. So you can try to give me all that all you want to, but it's just gonna fall right out because I ain't got no time for it. Like, so really, like you talk about not, but ego really kind of can be a strength, because you have to have that, that inner strength and that knowing, like, yeah, I am a master of my life. So
Yes.
that is really how you keep it from becoming an issue.
Yes. It all begins and ends within ourselves.
Right.
All begins and ends with our own feelings about ourselves and how we feel. No one can make us feel any kind of way. We feel those kinds of ways because we were made to feel those kinds of ways when we didn't have a choice growing up.
Right.
And we internalized everything. And I was laughing because you said a swear word, and I had talked to Micah about creating a swear jar. The bloom, filling rose in the bloom, creating a swear jar. Because every time I curse, I'm gonna put $1 in for the radio station, so I can help raise money for the radio station, because I do curse a lot.
Oh, honey, I'm surprised I have it. I'm surprised that's the first one I've gotten to. That's what's surprising to me. Like, I'm on my best behavior today.
Anyone who wants to participate is welcome to, but like, I know I curse a lot, so I'm gonna be like putting in dollars here and there.
You have about $100 every 2 weeks from me.
Listen, y'all are welcome to participate if you want, because I know the radio station, no one's paid for it. It's all out of pocket for Micah and Carrie and
Yes.
whatnot, time and energy wise. So I curse. That's a contribution. I can just put money in the
Right. I'll curse, then I'll turn that into a strength. But hey, every time I do, you get money. But that could be a bad thing, because then they'll be trying to make you mad.
If we get mad, remember, we don't get affected.
That part. It don't work all the. It don't work all the time though. Like, I have a couple accountability buddies.
I was going to say that, Rock and Cherry, we all need accountability buddies. We really do, as human beings. And I invite that in from the individuals that I have in my life, because the people in my life are loving, they're compassionate, and they have the same values and beliefs that I do, and I know they will approach me in a loving way and not in a critical way that will diminish my worth or hurt me in any way.
Right.
Michael, I'm sure you have the same people.
Oh, well, I think we talked about it yesterday. Somebody said something about, they share things with their family, and it's like they're surprised when they don't get the response. And I'm like, you share that with your family? Like I actively keep that part of my life away from them by like the plague, because why would I want to bring that to people who I know are gonna, bring it down? Because that part of me is such a foundational thing. Like in my whole life, there was one thing I always had that nobody could take away from me. I lost a lot of things. I mean, I literally had times where I had my room and a blanket and a pillow. But the one thing that nobody could ever take from me was my music. They never let me learn how to play, but I always had it. And I would sing for an hour a day. Sometimes that's all I had to entertain myself. My music is such a foundational piece of me that I don't let really anybody I know is going to do it for a negative reason, just to do it. I don't even let them know anything about it. And if they happen to ask about it, I'll be like, oh yeah, sure. But that's one thing I've learned. Like there are a few people that do get to see me, and I've gotten better about showing that, but like in the point of just protecting myself, anybody I don't really trust, I'm not going to act any different, but they will never see anything out of me but a smile. Good. Or that they affect me at all, anything other than just, okay.
And that's, I mean, the idea is you're pausing yourself and you're understanding that this doesn't deserve my energy, and I'm stepping back, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
So the accountability and the discipline starts within yourself. We have to have boundaries for ourselves on what we will and will not tolerate, especially in conflict resolution. But then we also have to have boundaries with ourselves to not allow our trauma to affect our response. And so that self-accountability has to come first. We can find accountability partners when we expand our network of soul family that we can trust, that we create. But for the moment in the healing, when it's dirty and dark and hard and raw, we need to hold ourselves most accountable to not betraying ourselves, to speaking our truth in a loving, respectful way, right? We talk about truth, relevance, and kindness all the time. Right?
Well, the truth, funny enough, you talk about the truth, but the truth itself, I was talking to somebody, I think it was last night. We were talking about, when you get in an argument with somebody, I don't do that anymore. I just go, okay. You know why? Because as long as I know I'm right, and I know the truth will always come out.
The truth will always.
Why am I going to argue and waste my energy on something that I know? If you know it is, the only time you're going to fight is if you think you might be wrong and are trying to make it happen. Like you try to make things, and manifest things. Guess what? It's not going to happen. And even if it wasn't the truth and I was wrong, guess what's going to happen when I found out I'm wrong? I'm going to be okay to say, you know what? I was wrong.
Right. So
sorry.
We react no, you're fine. Actually, you're fantastic. I'm reading where do I react instead of respond? So that's a question for us to ask ourselves very, very deeply, especially in those moments of conflict, because that's how we're going to catch and differentiate what's trauma and what's not. Okay, so we can consciously and intentionally reflect on conflicts that we've had in the past and decide, how did I show up in those moments? Was it passive aggressive? Did I need to be right? I was trying to over explain and prove myself. In what ways did I betray myself in those moments? We're not judging ourselves in those reflections of our conflict resolution or lack thereof. We're observing and witnessing ourselves so that we can show ourselves what's a different way of doing it. And if we don't know, there's, social media, we're all on social media. Follow individuals that have the credentials and the feeling of safety that you're looking for. Because credentials at the end of the day don't mean anything if you're still not coming from that heart-centered space.
Right.
And we all follow healers on social media as our micro learning. Add in stations like Conflict-ish. That's literally how it's spelt. He was a former whatchamacallit, hostage negotiator, and he teaches conflict resolution in corporate
I
setting.
mean, who better? You know, even if it's yourself, you're really holding hostage. You have to become the hostage negotiator for your own self. Like we can't get you a truck, but I mean, how about like some donuts or some Twinkies? Like we can do that,
Right, I know. It's funny that that's actually in his bio, because
right?
we hold ourselves hostage sometimes when we hang on to our trauma. We are literally holding ourselves hostage. So
And who better to hold you hostage than yourself? I mean, nobody knows you better. I mean, they should. I hope they don't. You know, I can tell you, I hold myself hostage all the time.
so there's conflict-ish. That's this one.
Right.
And then there's also how to convince with lawyer Vince, or convince with Vince, or something like that.
Right.
That's another one that's a great go-to, because it's very professional speak. So you can learn how to say stuff professionally, you know, and he will literally say like how to tell someone how to fuck off. And oh, there goes $1 in the jar.
No. So are we like doing, no, I'm not going to say, I was going to say, are we doing like number values per cuss word? Like the badder ones, like fuck would be like $5?
Now they're all $1.
Yeah, they're all $1. Yep. And it's funny you talk about like how to come in a conflict, because the one thing I have learned to do, and anytime I go to something, now before I would avoid conflict. Like if I knew we had done something that we were going to have it, I'd be like, you could be right in front of me, just not trying to avoid the hell out of it. But now, like what I do is when I come to somebody and talk to them about something I know they're not going to like, or I feel uncomfortable about, the one thing I practice is I never use the word you or any synonym. No you, no we, no our. Everything I say is, you know, there was that situation a couple of weeks or however long ago it was, and in the moment I was, you know, having a good day, and then all of a sudden, you know, things changed, and I literally reframed the whole comment about what I was feeling, why I was made to feel that way. And I never say and it's never an accusation. It is only me explaining where I came from, and everything else that happens after that, because then they can't come back and say, well, you accused me. Where did I say the word you in anything I said?
Mm-hmm.
There's no accusation. So then I can say, but okay, if you're feeling guilt, then maybe that's something you need to look into. But I was just saying how I felt about the situation.
So that's a great segue into responding to what Papa Duck says here. I normally react when I see or hear something that I know is morally wrong. And I think it's okay to do that, but I'm not sure if it's actually right or wrong. So the thing that I want to pull from there is, and in alignment with what you were saying just now, is the difference between reaction and response.
Mm-hmm.
You can certainly respond to what is morally wrong or what you deem morally wrong. And I'm talking about I'm making an assumption that morally wrong is like anti-pedophilia, discrimination, you know, like the deep hurtful things that you really have you don't, you get it. Words
sometimes. English are hard. Yeah. Now, you know, and it's funny. I actually had this come up not long ago, because I was in a chat room for a competition. I was in a singing competition, and the song I chose was we had to do like a movie soundtrack cover, but it had to be, you know, like guys had to sing girls song and girls had to sing guys song. Well, the version I picked was Let It Go, but it said male version, and that was only because the person who had uploaded it had already just dropped it down to a more suitable key for like a male tenor.
Right.
But it was the same song, right? Same song, same arrangement, everything. Well, when I got done and the judge sent their notes, they said, male version is not the original version. If you're not going to follow instructions, don't, you know, then it's like not competing. Whoo! And I had already not had a good day the day before. Luckily, I was able to stop myself before I told them that I was going to put my foot so far up behind them that my ankle was going to be in their chins, because I'm going to wear them as a sock. Luckily, I stopped myself there. But I wasn't going to say anything. And then I felt like, you know what? No. And I did say, I've stated my case. And I said, the reason I say this, I'm not trying to cause issues, but I can't keep that in, because I think I know you know that I'm right. So I don't understand. Like there are times, yes, I say things that are going to be inflammatory, But at the end of the day, if I don't feel right holding on to them and not saying something, I do.
And that
And
goes
at that
right
point-
in alignment with what Papa Duck was saying, which I'm going to bring back up. That it's really is about if they're coming from what's the intent? What is the intent? And
Absolutely.
it's okay to respond accordingly and appropriately and approaching it with grace. And that's coming from that compassionate space of someone else's ignorance is not a personal offense to you. It's someone else's ignorance, period.
Right.
And your response to enlighten them or educate them or illuminate a different perspective is the goal when you are going ahead and diving into responding. We're all going to have that internal reaction in our bodies first, right? We talk about that all the time when it's a trigger. It's going to be a trigger. You're going to feel it in your body. And that's how you know, something's off here. What's going on? And analyzing the situation in that pause. The choice to respond is where the conflict resolution and the invitation to connection and vulnerability and peace comes in. And that's why this topic is so important, because we all go through this stuff. And Papa Duck says, I'm actually in personal conflict myself at the minute. And after this reminder, I'm going to approach the situation differently when the show's done. I've definitely forgot my compassion and let my ego take over massively. We all do. That's the thing. We all do in moments where it's incredibly, incredibly personal. That's an opportunity. Yes. I vacillate between being too egotistical and too compassionate. It's hard to find the right balance. That's a great, okay.
like it's especially being a Leo, like that's a Leo thing, hardcore. Like, yeah.
So the way to help yourself navigate through that is in that pause. That pause is so important in order for us to ground ourselves into what is true here. And it's the truth that we can figure out in that moment. It's not always going to be perfect. In that moment, that feels like the truth, and that feels like the right thing to do, and that feels like the best course of action for ourselves. We may later learn something different, and that's okay. We can't be fearful of what that's going to look like. We just have to trust that we are showing up as best we can from that compassionate space for ourselves. To balance yourself out, really remain in truth, in your specific truth. Whether or not it's 100% accurate in that moment, don't worry about that in that moment. Just be concerned about being your authentic self, not betraying your own needs, validating your own emotions, bringing yourself into that state of awareness of what maybe potentially they're coming from or where they're coming from. Even if you disagree, it's not a bad agreement. It's about witnessing, observing, understanding exactly what the reality is in that moment. We talked about with radical acceptance, and bringing that into the space in your response, because your response can either open doors for clarification and questions, and then some, because a lot of times in our reaction, we assume things. Rule number one, never assume.
Right. And that's why that you just hit the nail on the head right now. I don't even, in the moment, I never handle, I always say, I need to walk away from this, and I come back to it.
Right.
And that's not even necessarily in conflict. When somebody gives me an idea that my mind is just like, I'm like, I will be more than happy to help. I need to walk away first. So my mind can calm down.
Yes. Let's see what Bubble Kitten says here. She says, my ex's dad likes to constantly goat people into reacting in different settings with drama and then turning it against you. Yes.
Oh my God, that's my mother.
Yes. Yes, he learned it quite well. And I'm having to learn how to respond and not react, plus word things in a way that is not feeding into what he's doing. That is the challenge, which is why I encourage learning from Micah, learning from myself, learning from Carrie how to communicate in a more effective and efficient way that doesn't leave room for them to hold it against you. And again, if they're the type of person that's going to hold everything against you because they're incredibly manipulative, gaslighting, and abusive, they're going to do that anyway. It's
Mhm.
how you respond and how you take that. Are you internalizing that? Do you
Right.
value the person that's projecting all of that crap onto you? Because that
Right.
shit's got to go. That's $2
Yeah.
more,
hmm And
$3.
you're holding on to stuff. You just racking up the bill today. Just
Provocation is a sport to some people, and that is the damn truth.
oh my! I'm telling you, it's like a pastime for my family.
Right.
They have like the Olympics of it. They have
All
gold medals.
right. All the more reason to learn how to regulate yourself first and respond to resolve conflict, not to win or be right or to prove yourself, because that's reflective of having to survive people like Bubble Kittens is talking about.
Yep.
We're
And
not
see,
trying to
yeah.
survive anyone.
Those kind of people, actually, I learned it helped me when somebody read me this. I don't know if you've ever heard the narcissist prayer. Somebody read me this, and it was and it's not long, but the narcissist prayer is that didn't happen. And
Yeah.
if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it.
It sums
And
it up.
I have never heard, it was like a light bulb clicked on.
Yeah.
So now I notice their patterns. I see what they're doing. And so now I watch them beat themselves, because all I have to do is not give them what they want. I don't walk
Right.
away from the situation,
Right.
but I answer them as evenly as possible. I don't ramp up with
Can
them.
I hit the pause button and rewind for a second?
Mhm.
Don't give them what they want. If they're looking for conflict, don't give it to them. Your regulated response erases the high that they get off of making you internalize their projection. Do not give them what they want. You can put that on the screen too if you want. No more right, because in conflict we internalize everything, like, oh my god, I did something wrong, I hurt you, oh horrible, I'm the worst person on the no, we're not doing any of that.
Nope.
Accountability doesn't mean self-loathing and torture and guilt and shame and judgment. It doesn't.
Mhm.
Accountability means, you know what, I could see where I have room for improvement and how you might have received it this way, and I am so sorry, that wasn't my intention.
Right.
I won't do that again, and I will be more sensitive to how that might affect you. I had someone tell me recently that something I offered to them insulted them because it made them feel like X, Y, and Z. And I immediately was like, I'm so sorry. That wasn't even crossing my mind and nowhere near any of my intentions.
Right.
Please accept my apology. I didn't go any further than that. I didn't give them more context or more explanation because let's talk about this for a second. Sometimes we have to shelf our agenda until another time when it resurfaces to add more clarity. But in that moment, and if it's a person that you care about and that they are loving to you most of the times, and it's a genuine like, oh, I didn't want to hurt this person.
Right.
Shelf your agenda for that moment. That moment, they need to feel heard, loved, accepted, tolerated, I'm sorry, that you're holding yourself accountable, and they need to feel validated that you're going to care and honor their needs.
Right.
That's what's necessary in that moment. That's where the self-accountability and the boundaries come in too, because stop yourself in that pause and decide, you know what, that further context, it's really not relevant or necessary in this particular moment. And I don't want them to feel like I'm making excuses or whatever. It'll come up on its own because the truth always comes out, right? Rock and Cherry says all to death, but Jesus Christ, all this is taking you through a bit of every ounce of every angle of every others of minutia. Yes, I'm sorry we're exhausting you. Whatever, to get quiet with yourself and don't sweat the small stuff.
That part. I finally got to that point too, and I really don't, but when I do mess up, and I had a really, really good, who's become a really good friend. He's a guy who, we do the IT stuff and build together. He helped me actually, he kind of laid it out for me. And it's so funny because he's like neurodivergent to the point of you can't do like, beating around the bush. You have to be very direct with him. He doesn't get a lot of jokes. He's that kind of analytical. but he helped me learn what a real apology is. Like
Mhm.
when you really want to apologize to someone,
That part. So
it's acknowledging your part in making, it's acknowledging their pain,
yes,
and then validating your part in making them feel that way. But
correct.
then the last part that a lot of people don't, and actually I didn't realize until he said it, is if you really care about that person, making a plan. Don't promise you're never going to do it again, because we're all human. Everybody makes mistakes. Make a plan to try to do better in the future.
Right.
And
Right.
that was huge for
Right.
me.
And
So
that
now when I apologize, I do those 3 steps.
right. And that is so, so important for moving forward. It really, really is. And it's a matter of healing through the trauma, healing through the time, healing through the moment, healing through.
Mm.
It's about giving yourself an opportunity to see deeper layers of truth within yourself. So we're not spiritually bypassing. We are not bypassing all those emotions. Rock and Cherry, I'm calling you out.
And look,
We're not mulling over daily trauma.
no.
What we're doing instead is we're giving ourselves an opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
Because the issues are always going to come up and repeat themselves if they're not addressed appropriately.
That part.
The apology never comes in a real apology way, and the behavior continues. It's going to keep resurfacing. So we're going to deal with the same shit over and over and over again. It's $4.
Yeah. Honey, you up way over $4 now. I don't know why you trying to front like.
Bubble Kitten says, I internalize everything they say and do when it comes to how they tend to treat us. Getting out of my head has been a struggle, and I spent 13 years trapped with the behavior, and now I'm learning how to function outside. Okay, so we're going to go back to the whole, and I call it a jail cell with my own jail bars that I could easily remove, and that's the same as holding ourselves hostage in that analogy. So understanding that we are the ones holding ourselves in that jail cell.
Yep.
We get to choose to take those things off and not put so much weight and energy onto someone else's projection at us. All we can do is be responsible for ourselves. It begins and ends within ourselves, like we were talking about. So all we can really do for ourselves is give ourselves an opportunity to share with individuals a different perspective in a different language when it's appropriate to do so. And if their response is that where we can't like ebb and flow and find a medium ground, it's not like a quick,
No.
magic.
And guess what? You're going to learn something and you're going to unlearn it. That's why, like this you see right here, I painted that myself and I have it hanging on my wall where every time if I go to sleep, it is the first thing I land my eyes on every single day. And as many times as I've said it, it's because like sometimes I need to remember, if I don't reestablish it every time.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way I need to solidify it in my mind.
Yeah. And if it's not solvable, distance yourself from that individual. It shows you misalignment. We don't have to force ourselves. We're not obligated to everyone and everything around us. We are obligated and responsible for ourselves and our own overall health and well-being. So the most loving and compassionate thing we can do for ourselves is not betray ourselves in moment of conflict.
That part.
To bring ourselves more into that state of awareness and a heart-centered space where we can share our communication in a way that's more well received. I'm reading Rock and Cherry has an answer from Papa Duck. That communication is better than solitude. Solitude is so damaging. We're social creatures. So I would say just accept any and all available to you.
Yep.
Solitude is not how we're built.
No. And solitude doesn't mean, like being so, like, this is what I had to learn. And this was the hardest thing for me, being a people pleaser. When I see that someone is not willing to, be respectful of the boundaries I set, of the things I say about myself, I have to do the hard thing. I have to wish them for nothing but the best. But I have to remove myself from that situation. And I have done that in places where people were like, why did you do that? That was stupid. Because to them, it might have seemed that way. To me, it was necessary. Because my personal, and I've said this so many times recently, my own personal mental growth is way more important than anything else in my life right now.
Right.
And moving forward is too important than pretty much anything else. So,
Right. So we need to attract those that are meant for us.
Mhm.
And sometimes that means letting go those that are not meant for us. And that is so apparent and obvious in conflict. That's an opportunity for us to dive in and see what's right for us and what's not right for us.
And
So,
I think there's that speech about the leaves and the roots. Find your people who are like the roots, and
Mhm.
let go of the leaves.
yeah. So I think this is a great spot. I think everyone got a little bit of something out of it, I hope.
I got a lot out of it, and thank you for having me. You're awesome.
Thank you. Is there anything that you want to promote or advertise or talk about?
So as y'all kind of have seen, I am coming back with my Defining Your Character. So for those of you that weren't here for it, what I do is I say, whatever you're feeling that week, everybody's got that one song at the end of the week that you just play over and over, like, my God, like, this is exactly what I'm feeling, this week or today. Whatever defines you that time, that's the song I want to hear. Like for me, a lot of the times, there's that song from the movie I Can Do Bad All By Myself by Mary J. Blige. Whoo! Like, I want to hear that song that I hear you just lose yourself in and do stuff that you would never do. That's what I want to hear. So it will be coming back. We're starting back, I believe, April 18th. So the forms should be up. So I'll be back, and I look forward to seeing everybody. And
This is exciting.
yeah,
And where's it going to be? It's going to be on Rise Radio?
Yeah, it's going to be on the radio. We might eventually start, getting used to doing this whole video thing, and I might, but
It's on this set. Okay, so this
Saturday.
What time?
I think we said 7.
7
I think we
p.m.?
said we are going to kiss 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Times this Saturday, and the name of the show?
Defining Your Character.
Defining Character this Saturday.
Defining your character. Sorry.
Defining Your Character. Beautiful.
6 p.m.
This will be so amazing. Okay, 6 p.m.
I'm
Okay,
excited to be, I'm excited to do it again because, like, I love having it, and I, especially with, I'm not going to say it, with everything that's going on, I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to have this time again. Like, there was some stuff that I got a little sidetracked on, but really I'm getting back to what's important to me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right, you hear that, music lovers? Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah.
Rise Radio is growing and evolving in the most beautiful ways. Tomorrow this whole week we have an amazing lineup. You can find all the lineup on the amazing work that you're doing on Embers of Light, because Michael's been very busy with Embers of Light.
I've been like obsessed, like, anyway.
Yes. We have that little SKU card thing. You can find me personally on healingrose.org. And we'll see you guys tomorrow with all these beautiful shows that we have. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank y'all. Thank you for having me. You're awesome.
Thank you. You
Love
guys
y'all. Have a good one.
Awesome. You're awesome.
From the soil of your sorrow, petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the This is the blue.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise awakening, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your
Rise Awakenings. Let's rise together.